I believe that what a child learns during their playtime can be as important as anything they pick up in school or church. Now, a lot of parents think they should use playtime to instill values such as honesty, good sportsmanship, things like that in their children, but I really think that is a mistake. Children are sociopaths. They really care about nothing but themselves and their own needs. Trying to teach them those sort of values is just counterintuitive to them. They don't get it. My extreme idea is that you're going to have better results teaching values more in line with a child's nature. You're not only making your job far easier, I think you're going to do a better job preparing them for adulthood. Now, to test my ideas, I did some work with my niece and nephew. I worked with my niece and nephew because I didn't want to risk messing up my own children. The results I got were pretty encouraging, though. I would like to give you some examples. One day, I was making glitter pictures with my niece. She really liked the picture I had made and asked if she could have it. So when I gave it to her, she immediately informed me of her intention to pass it off as her own work. So I immediately took that opportunity to tell her that is exactly what she should do. What I knew, and I wanted to teach her, was that in life it doesn't really matter so much what you do, but what you can take credit for. One person can really only do so much work, but if you take credit for a bunch of people's work, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. You see this principle in operation all over in our society. I mean, do our politicians write their own speeches, draft their own bills, or kill their own terrorists? No. They have other people do those things for them, and then they take the credit. But really, it's not just the politicians if we're honest with ourselves. When's the last time you met somebody who's in charge of something that does any actual work? They're kind of like engineers with social skills. You know they must be out there somewhere, but you can't remember meeting one yourself. Another opportunity to teach children came when they were playing a game of kickball. Now, the important thing for you to know is that when they play kickball, they always make me the scorekeeper, which means I have all the power. Whoever I want to win is going to win. And I always want my nephew to win. The reason why is that when I tell my niece her little brother's beating her, she goes crazy and it's hilarious. She kicks the ball harder, she screams louder, she's running into walls, doing anything she can to get ahead. But the joke's on her because it's not going to happen. But what I was using that game to teach the children was a very important lesson. That lesson is, if the people in power are on your side, you can be very successful at something without being particularly good at it. We have whole industries that run on this principle. The most obvious is the financial industry. I think events over the last few years and several times before that have pretty clearly shown that most of the people that work on Wall Street aren't very good at investing and making money. But as long as the government is there to bail them out, it really doesn't matter. It's so much easier to get bailed out than it is to be competent in the first place. And that is why I wanted the kids to learn that lesson. Efficiency. If my niece had put a tenth as much effort into buttering me up as she did into trying to kick the ball better, she would have been much happier with the outcome of that game. Now, obviously, there's some wiggle room in terms of what kind of values you want to teach your children, but there's one principle that you must follow. This isn't optional. I realized what that principle was one day when I was running foot races with the kids. See, obviously, a fine physical specimen such as myself can easily defeat a 4-year-old in a foot race if I really wanted to. So in order to let them have a little fun, I let them beat me, and things were going great for a while. Then they started getting cocky. They started making fun of me, telling me I was slow, telling me I was bad at racing, and then my niece, the little brat, she comes up to me and she says, "Uncle Mike, these are your loser buttons." So the next race, I ran full speed and beat them and told them they're not going to win again, and they started crying. But what I had learned from that experience was that when you're playing games with little children, you really ought to just beat the little snots. What are you teaching them if you let them win? Arrogance. Arrogance and unwarranted self-confidence. They're going to think they're good enough and strong enough to, on their own merits, beat obviously superior competition. How's that going to work out for them when they grow up? If I really wanted to help the children, I would have taught them how to win properly. I would have taught them to take a crowbar and break my leg. The broken bone in my leg, I can't run as fast, and they can win fair and square. And that is why this is the most important lesson to teach a child. Because in life, if you limit yourself to just what your own natural abilities and effort will get you, you'll never realize your full potential. You need an edge, that X factor that's going to take you over the top. I mean, where would Lance Armstrong be without steroids? By forcing your child to confront the reality of the situation they're in instead of what they want it to be, you're teaching them the skills they need to recognize when they need that extra edge and how to find it, how to think outside the box. And that's going to serve them well later in life. So I hope I've given you some food for thought today. I must say, from my own personal experience, it was so much easier teaching the children these sort of lessons than it was teaching them to play nice with each other and pick up their toys. Tell them that, they always give you questions. Why? When you tell them to cheat to win the game, no questions whatsoever. They do it. They understand it, and they execute on it. So I want you to take what you've learned today and apply it in the raising of your own children. I really think you'll be preparing them for a future that's brighter than you can possibly imagine. Thank you.